Hey there, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Second House. This time we are bringing our November hits and doing a debrief with everybody on how well we did with our November news sessions. We did 2 sessions this month on the news. We did one, I believe it was November 1st or something. We recorded that first video. And then we did a follow up because we had a bunch of crazy stuff coming up in kind of the middle of the month through the around the 20th. So on November 16th, we ran another session targeting the 20th, 21st kind of area, just to see what else we would get. Everyone was blind to that retasking except me because I'm the one who issued it, and we ended up getting some more good data. So. Without further ado, I guess we can jump into the sessions. So I think
Perfect.
Rich
Yeah,
is
let
going
me
first.
let me go ahead and share my screen here. All right, how's that look, guys?
So
Perfect. All right, so I did my session on November the 4th. Basically, the brunt of what I got was a lot of energy, a lot of gaseous energy. Definitely got impressions of someplace north of me and cold. Could be quite a bit where I'm at. I'm a couple of hours south of Chicago here. But got elements of earthen, vegetation, natural structure, mountains, things like that, rocky, rough terrain. Further down, though, I drew this image and had elements of a hard, boxy, temporarily stationary object, man-made. Felt large. It felt stationary at the time of viewing, but could be deployed and moved around. The brunt of what I got felt either like helium or some sort of natural gas, a large reserve of which was found. I got feelings of, hey, deep discovery, buried, eventually piped, right? And overall, it just felt very natural, but kind of intangible, like natural gas, I feel would be, right? So this came out, this article posted on November the 16th. 2025. There's other articles posted November 13th for the same. I'm not even going to try to butcher this name here. I'll try. KSI Lasim's Liquid Natural Gas Project, but it's being fast-tracked by the feds in British Columbia. And basically, ultimately, it's going to process up to 22 billion cubic meters of gas per year. And it's thought that it will last basically 40 years. It'll be a 40-year overall project. And it's going to be piped down via the Prince Rupert Gas Transmission Pipeline that's being built in northern British Columbia. So this pretty well hit a lot of the main points that I had. Some sort of gaseous, semi-coastal. It felt coastal. There was water elements to it. Deployable, and this is a rendering here of what this looks like. But you can see these kind of barges here that are stationary for the time being, but with the idea that they'll be deployed and moved for other projects as well. I didn't really realize that was a thing, so that was pretty interesting to find out. And overall, I think it was a pretty good session. It was pretty neat to do something ahead of time before it was released.
yeah, as soon as I saw that image of the two things kind of floating there with the mountains in the background, it reminded me like exactly of your sketch.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
No, it's very
on.
Interesting. I guess let me scroll down. I guess it was a different session. I've done so many sessions lately. I thought I tried to triangulate where it was located at, but I think that was a different session.
You had said north and west of you, I think, just on the call. I don't know where it was written in here, but
yeah, I think that was just a feeling that I had. Definitely a no to think something and not write it down. That was definitely the impression I had at the time before this article came out. So it's pretty cool overall. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think David, you got some Canada focused news as well this month.
I did, yeah. I don't know why we're having such a Canadian month. Maybe it's your animal magnetism. Okay, so yeah, I had a major Canadian prediction, which was, I said Canada or USA. I got Canada on my map dowers, and then I got a bit sidetracked thinking it was USA because I was trying to match locations to the sketch. But it was a trade deal between one of these places and India, with China and Cambodia being like indirectly involved in this. So Canada is providing easy access to business services, reducing trade friction, and in return, we're getting, I said gold. Then this hit the news. What's the date on this? The date of the statement is November 14th. So I don't know when we released this, maybe like the 7th or something. So like a week later, we got this announcement that they're going to agree to encourage long-term supply chain partnership in critical minerals. Critical minerals. I can't think of a much more critical mineral than gold right now. I know Canada has like a critical minerals policy or something, which is like all about making sure they have access to the right kind of rocks. So I think that could be a euphemism for gold. I'm happy with that. And yeah, there's going to be partnership in aerospace and dual use capabilities, which I think is that like a military commercial thing. I don't know what that is.
I think you
was
said
something as well as aerospace.
I think you
I can't
said
find any article.
uranium in your data.
I had an
there, too.
AOL of silicon and uranium. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
those would be critical minerals. Maybe.
Yeah, I think there was in a different story I saw about that same trade deal. There was something talking about uranium, just
Right.
as far as the energy part of that partnership.
Yeah, okay, so I've got AOLs here of silicon and uranium, and then the next page, I did the periodic table DAOs and got gold, and I did check this to make sure there wasn't like another element, it could have been, I said, and identify the most diagnostic significant chemical elements making up what's in the box. What's in the box? That box. What boxes of stuff are gonna turn up in Canada, and it was just gold. There wasn't uranium or anything else on here. That was it. So going back to the location, the reason I got kind of sidetracked was because I asked ChatGPT, hey, find me somewhere with these big pointy things and flagpoles in front of it. I did a second sketch later, which isn't included here, which had, I think, 3 of these things, or did I include that one here? I guess not. But so it opened with like this shot of a like politician walking into a big government financial, big shiny skyscraper kind of deal. Here's the big shiny skyscraper with the overhang. I didn't see the footage of this, but this is the Bank of Canada. Thank you, Josh, for pointing this one out to me, because if I'd looked properly, it would have been super obvious. And then to identify this, we got next to the institution, organization, whatever it is, big pointy architecture, sculpture. And when you turn around, we got big pointy architecture sculptures there. I can't see the flagpole. Maybe it's this thing. I'm sure there's a flagpole somewhere, but the big pointy things were kind of diagnostic. And I got Canada on my map DAOs, so I think that's probably what is matching there.
That's literally
Opening
our
up
Parliament building
markets,
in the background.
free trade
there.
agreement. Oh yeah, there you go. Oh, there's the flagpole. There it is. So the pointy things and a flagpole. Close enough. I'm calling that a hit. So that was my big prediction there. Opening up markets, free trade agreement, access to services and business, not just trade, and the critical minerals. For our retask for 21st of November news, I got this opposition. I interpreted this very much as the kind of Trump MTG thing, with Trump's position kind of becoming more blustering and hyperbole and ungrounded as the legitimacy and ontological validity crumbles. There's some big words. MTG just going, I told you so, basically. I think a bunch of stuff came out in the news there, but Josh, I think you've been following that better than me. Best sketch ever, right? It's got to be her. It's unambiguous. Couldn't be anybody else, could it?
It's uncanny, really.
I know. Look at the detail. Look at the level of detail in there.
Just bang on.
Yeah. So
Crushing
anyway,
it.
Josh, if you want to take over and cover the Trump Epstein files, MTG, brouhaha, I think you got a lot more to say on that topic.
Yeah, sure.
Great sessions, though,
Doesn't he?
David.
Yeah,
Oh, thanks,
solid
dude.
hits.
Very, very good
for
job.
sure. Okay, so I had for my November 2025 news, this kind of feeling of people raising their hands, bad news for Trump, some kind of blocked actions in relation to some of the stuff he's got going on, truth being revealed, not surprising but overdue. And as I kind of got deeper into this, it felt like maybe this had to do with the end of the shutdown. Shutdown ends, I wrote here. And then again, I did this session on November 3rd, and around the 10th, we started to get these kind of messages about the Senate moving towards ending the shutdown. And it eventually did end, I believe, around the 14th. And they agreed to extend, basically end the shutdown until at least January 30th, pending some more votes. Kept people on food stamps, reversed some of Trump's firings, and threw some kind of wrenches in some of the stuff he had going on. Later in the month, too, on the 19th, he got some kickback on some gerrymandering stuff he was doing in Texas. And then even on the 4th, I kind of acknowledged this during the session because I knew it was coming up, but I figured this California vote, again, so to sort of do some redistricting, that would kind of not go Trump's way. And sure enough, that election marked a pretty big kind of rebuke of Trumpism in general, is kind of what they were saying in the news. I also had, after this government shutdown ends, that the markets would pump. And so it ended on the 14th. And as you can see from the 14th onwards, everything went up pretty good. Sort of the 18th was about the bottom there. And I got a pretty good ideogram on that in my second session where I tried to track that. I know Elisa had some stuff on that too. But again, kind of the biggest one I had, the biggest element of this that I had was this historic vote, which I figured was going to be about the Epstein files, the Epstein petition, and that this would mark the first steps towards sort of whatever's next in this process of truth being revealed. And so sure enough, the vote was set for the 17th of November, and they voted overwhelmingly to release it. There was like one dude who voted against it, so his career is probably over. But yeah, like just all but one voted to release or to pass this legislation to get the files out. And if we jump over to my session, the follow-up session for the 21st of November, the tasking for this, which again, we all did a version of this tasking as well, was that we would perceive and record the most impactful global news occurring on or around November 21st. And impactful was defined as having a direct impact on geopolitics, trade, or financial markets. And so again, David got this sort of MTG, Republican, battle between her and Trump. I kind of looked at the astrology of this too. There was kind of this leap of faith kind of vibe to it. Energy shifting into choice that requires balance, unexpected breakthroughs and surprises related to money and personal identity, and so all of this stuff kind of in a hand wavy woo woo kind of way. You can read that if you want, but essentially it lined up pretty well with what I ended up getting. So I had this feeling of turbulence, rising, falling, this kind of mess in the stock market, which again, I think Elisa will talk about a little more. She picked it up in our initial session. But on this one, I was kind of focused on, okay, let's look at the financial side of things. So I tried to draw the S&P 500, and I set this kind of arbitrary date range of November 21st to the end of December. And I got this chart that, well, it did, I think, represent sort of the high-tech stocks and things, the general performance of them. This lightning bolt that came out and this separation of structures, just the way this ideogram presented to me was reminiscent of other sessions I've done about this Epstein stuff. And so I got there's this element of lightning to the Epstein file vote. And 3 days after I did this session, this story dropped about the Senate acting with lightning speed. So on the 18th or 19th, just as soon as it passed the House, it was like instantly passed on to Trump's desk, and the whole Senate also overwhelmingly voted in favor of this, which I haven't seen anything move through government as fast as this ever. Usually stuff, other than being held up for all the days that the government was shut down. but yeah, I think overall I got some good hits here on the government shutdown ending and this Epstein thing kind of rolling out in the wake of that. And we'd also talked again about, and Elisa will get into this more, but about this kind of third week of November being kind of a real gnarly spot in the stocks. And again, just going back to my financial ideogram here, I kind of tried to trace it against what the chart ended up being. I wrote S&P 500 and I fed myself back on the NASDAQ. So take of that what you will, but I think these line up pretty good. I've kind of numbered the high points and low points. Usually in my ideogram, I'll get kind of when I put in the tasking, I'll do some time that's kind of at the back end, just so I have this kind of past amount that I can mark on my session. And usually in my ideogram, I'll get some kind of symbol as to where I am to kind of just confirm that my timeline is right. So that's what this sideways loop is. That's kind of my eye looking out into the ether or whatever. And for this low point, this scoop, I said on the debrief that I felt like that was me buying the dip. And so this is where that dip is. So I ended up I kind of underlined all the spots that I bought some stuff this month. I managed to hit most of the low points through this middle turbulent section. So I thought that was pretty cool that worked out. So I will jump off here for a second, and
so Lisa, do you want to pick up where Josh left off with the finance?
I can just say on my November news session that I did on November 2nd, I picked up on all market dynamic shifts, and I saw that there were a lot of issues going on where I tried to give not advice, we won't say it financial advice, but I wanted to kind of give some warning out there to the public that in the first 2 weeks they might want to focus on, if they were going to make any changes to their finances, the first 2 weeks might be the best time, because in that third week there was going to be a lot of volatility in the markets, and so
there definitely was
there for sure, and so that was a definite hit there. Aside from that, I also picked up on some strikes going on and some issues with the airlines. I'd mentioned that the friendly skies were not going to be so friendly, and we have some articles there with regards to the FAA speaking towards making some cuts, and they made airline changes and cuts to 40 major U.S. airports right after they made an announcement, right after we did our November news, which I believe I had mentioned that there would be some delays in that session as well, or at least whenever we spoke about it. And so that was also a hit. It went so far as to that news article talking about the Squawk Box, talking about potentially closing down airspace. So that would definitely be a disruption to air travel and the skies being unfriendly. I'd mentioned some other things with regards to some education strikes as well, which also came into fruition. So those were some of the things. In addition to circling back to that financial area, I also mentioned some things with regards to crypto and holding that crypto would not be a good thing to kind of make any changes in the portfolios, and that was also reflected as a hit for November as well.
Yeah, everything went down pretty sharply right around that third week, like you said. This is the volatility index. You can see just basically the higher it is, the more intense the price swings are. So this is the NASDAQ here versus the volatility. The big swings in the market kind of correlate with these big big bars in the volatility. And yeah, you nailed it exactly on the 20th as being the most volatile day in the whole month for sure.
And it really felt when I was doing my session, it was really clear how I could see it. And it just kind of just came to a peak at that particular time. It was really good feedback to get on that.
Yeah, it was bang
And
on.
if we're going to go to the 21st, I don't know, are we doing the 21st too? Do you have information on that as well?
Yeah, other
Because
than
my
I don't
information for that is a little bit different. Because my prediction kind of started with, I had a lot of hard stops, and I had picked up. I think you had an article that you had found recently with regards to maybe some changes in the brain activity. I don't know if you're going to post that yet or if we're going to do that later.
it was the Alzheimer's medicine that Trump was on it.
So for my November, for the other session that you tasked us on, a significant event occurring around November 1st, I started picking up, information that, that was a session where we all kind of got those 3 dots, those 3 kind of points. And I was sensing something that was occurring, but would probably manifest a little bit later. But there was definitely these hard stops that was going to be occurring. And so I felt like there was this activity that was going to happen and someone of power, and that it was going to affect their brain, and that there was going to be a physical uh, a physical manifestation that was going to stop them, and that their power and influence would be affected in the world. So
yeah, when I saw this post yesterday from some congressperson, I guess, one of the big news things the last little while has been, Trump kind of falling asleep a lot, and he had an MRI sometime in November that everyone was asking questions about. And anyway, this post kind of pinged me back to your session, just about how, I think you had in your data something about, the person of power was, allowing something to happen, like to this injection or whatever it was.
right. And
And
that wasn't actually put out into the public. I think I shared that with you,
yeah,
right?
it was in your
Yeah.
data, like just in
It's in
the
my data,
session.
but it's not in the
We didn't
public.
talk about it. Yeah.
We
But
didn't
so
talk about
then
it.
when I saw this, it was like, oh, okay, so that just totally picked me back to that piece of data from the session.
Yes, I had stated privately because that there was something that was going to be put inside the person's brain.
Yeah, so it sounds like this, we could be talking about that same thing.
Mhm.
So that's, yeah, it's interesting to see
Right.
where we'll see where that one goes, because it again, we aren't necessarily saying anything's going to happen, but we're just seeing
No,
some hints and some.
but definitely if you saw an infusion, right? Because that makes sense to what I was writing down to you, because you were like, let's just put it down here, so we have
Yeah,
it documented.
yeah, so it's it's definitely on there and documented. It's looking like that was probably the corollary story to what you were picking up there. So and yeah, that saga, I don't have a date on when that started, but it was all kind of going on through November.
Right.
That kind of the
Right.
MRI and everything else. So presumably, if he had been getting the injection, it would have been probably earlier in November before these stories started coming out. So I imagine
Mhm.
you're probably still in the ballpark there.
I just thought it was interesting that we were all picking up those hard stops, and those dots. So we'll see what that turns into.
Maybe it's just him falling asleep.
Could be. Definitely. Loss of
It's
consciousness.
stopping him in his tracks and knocking him out in the middle of meetings.
Absolutely.
We're going to have to task the dots. In a few months, when we've all forgotten about it, we're going to have to do a
Yeah,
blind
exactly.
session on
Yeah,
what
I'm
were the
interested
dots.
to really know what those dots far.
Yeah, that's great. So all in all, a pretty strong month of hits across the board here. We've got one more viewer to throw in the mix here, and through the magic of editing, we will bring in his segment now.
Okay, Bond, what you got?
In November, on the 17th of 2025, my session entailed some interesting aspects of what felt like guiding along construction, road separators, doing things for safety, being patient, moving along. As I perused the news for that month, what I ended up coming up with was the government coming back online, ending the shutdown, legislators concluding after passing a number of measures to get things back up and going. And so there was a lot of negotiation. There were a lot of jockeying. Things got allocated. Some things didn't get allocated. So safety, movement, following the rules, all those aspects of my session aligned well with the news here.
Awesome. Thank you very much. That was short and sweet. And now, by the magic of post, we will return to the studio, which we don't have.
Yeah, great sessions, guys.
Did we want to record anything, any parting words?
Yeah, one thing we should say is that if you enjoy how cool we are at predicting the future and you're enjoying our content, then please like and subscribe and share and press the buttons which make the algorithm happy, and press the notification thing and send it to your friends, and do whatever the thing is that you do on whatever platform it is that you're enjoying this amazing content on. Thank you very much, and thank you for listening.
And remember, remote viewing is not 100% accurate, and none of this is financial or other advice of any kind.
Yes.
All right.
But we sure hope that you enjoy.
It's for entertainment
Yes.
purposes
And
only, apart from when we're right.
Yeah.
No, actually, it's still for entertainment purposes only, even when we're right.
I find it more entertaining when we're right.
I much prefer it.
Right, guys. Okay.
Good job, guys.
Bye.
Cool. Thanks, guys.